And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of The Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and review for the brand new Sony Venomverse, Spider-Verse, whatever you want to call it, Morbius, starring Jared Leto. Now, in Morbius, we get to meet, obviously, Morbius, played by Jared Leto. So, in this film, we get a little bit of a backstory to him. And I'm also going to be spoiling the after credit here. So when I get to that point, I will let you know, and you can turn off and then, go see it for yourself. Because there's a lot of things that I had to process. I wanted to wait to maybe a week to process that after credit. And I think I finally understood what it might actually mean. A lot of people are very confused about how this movie is. A lot of people say this movie's trash. Some people say this movie's just okay. Some people say the after credit makes no sense. So, what exactly is this movie about? Well, we have Dr. Michael Morbius. He's a very brilliant scientist, and he has a very bad blood disease that he's been trying to figure out since he was a kid. Well, he had it since he was a kid, and he's been trying to figure out his whole life. Him and his friend, played by the actor from, I think, is Doctor Who. I probably butchered this, Mark Strong. Not Mark Strong, sorry. I forgot the actor's name. I know he's from Doctor Who. I apologize. I just forgot the actor's name. Anyway, so him and his friend, they have the disease, and he's been trying to figure out how to cure it. And a lot of people also have this disease, and he has, doctor's degrees. He has all the tools and necessary to figure it out. And he works at Horizon, Tech. So he has the resources to try to figure out how to find this cure. And then he eventually does find the cure. However, something goes wrong where he ends up transforming himself into a legitimately a vampire bat, which he needs blood to survive, human blood to, sustain himself. He can't hold it on forever. He's been trying to hold on with some artificial stuff and all that. And at one point it starts to work until he ends up, his friend needs the same, treatment. Unfortunately, if he gets it to him, he'll transform too. And it's basically, this is the whole movie. So, when his friend gets the cure, something terrible happens to him, even worse than Michael. And they basically become enemies from there. So, I'll spoil that one thing. He becomes a vampire too. Not much of a spoiler, but still. So then, the whole movie is just basically the cops going after him, which, by the way, one of the cops is Tyrese Gibson, from Fast and Furious, Roman Pierce. Anyway, they go after him. Cops are looking for the vampires, in the city. And this is New York City, and this is, I would say, a Spider-Man verse universe. Now, they don't mention Spider-Man. They don't mention, all the, the TV spots that we got where Spider-Man's picture being murder, being a murderer and all that. They took that out. And you know what? Honestly, to me, it didn't bother me. Because I feel like there's something bigger than what they try to give us in the trailer to pump up people's excitement for this movie that we know. And I'll get to that when I talk about my spoilers for my after credits. But, yeah, so we don't get that kind of stuff. We do see the Daily Bugle, which, okay, there's a Daily Bugle. There is a Jameson there. Maybe they don't mention it, but I believe there is. Anyway, so in this film, like I said, we do get to see some cool stuff. I mean, Michael turning into a vampire, that stuff was cool. I thought the visual effects on that really was pretty cool. The fight scenes were cool. I mean, some of the fight scenes, they were cool. I kind of wish we got more of it, but, whatever. The ending, if I don't count the after credit, I thought the ending could have been better, honestly, because it feels like we're at the end, and you get to the boss fight, like in a video game. You get to a boss fight in a video game at the very end of the game, and this is the last boss you have to fight, and then you beat him in 2 seconds. It's like, that's it, no payoff, and then it just ends with the hero going off to the sunset. It's like, okay. No build up. No dramatic, like, oh man, he might die in this movie. We didn't get none of that. He just beats him, and then that's pretty much it. It's like, okay. But what can you do? I mean, the budget was low, which I'm surprised the budget was pretty low because the effects looked really, really good. And, I enjoyed some of this movie. I thought this movie had pretty interesting characters, between Michael Morbius, his friend. I thought they had a cool relationship, and it made sense that his friend would turn on him because, he didn't want to give him the cure because what happened to Michael, he didn't want to happen to his friend, but his friend was so desperate for it, and he didn't care. There's a love interest in this film as well, and she was good. She was great, I do wish the cops in this movie would have been better, because here's another problem for this movie I did not like, and it goes back to Spider-Man No Way Home as well. When you have somebody being wanted by the cops, everybody should be looking for you, right? Like, you commit a crime somewhere, and you're like public enemy number one, and everybody's looking for you. Everybody's looking for you. I feel like when the cops find out about the vampire stuff, and it's only 2 cops looking for him. Yeah, we see other cops, but they get beat up so quickly. Where are the reinforcements? It's the same thing with Spider-Man No Way Home. When Spider-Man No Way Home, everybody knew he was quote-unquote a murderer, and yet they let him go, and then the cops just like forget about it. And then, he does the Spider-Man stuff, and then they're like, oh, Spider-Man's still a menace because of Jameson. But here it's just like, yeah, I guess the cops either gave up or they were just too incompetent to do anything. So that was my biggest gripe about this film, was like, really? Where are the cops? Yeah, I mean, he had 2 of them. He had Tyrese and his partner, and they were just kind of useless. So, go figure. All right. So now I'm going to talk about the after credit, because honestly, I know a lot of people are very confused, are very upset about the after credit. And they're like, some people I'm hearing about saying that they should just give the rights back to Sony or to Marvel already. It's like, calm down. It's just an after credit. Who the hell cares? All right, so here's my 2 cents on this after credit, because honestly, I have a theory. Could be wrong, could be right. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so we all know the after credit. And if you did not see the first trailer, the original first trailer before the pandemic hit, we knew Michael Keaton was in this movie. He was supposed to be either he was going to be the Vulture from MCU, or he was going to be a new version, a variant, if you want to call it that, CW stuff. If you wanted to call it that, where he's another, Adrian Toomes, but he's going to be a different Vulture. He's going to look different and all this and that. Okay. So apparently he shows up thanks to the purple, rip in the sky. He shows up in magically into a new cell in Morbius's land. No idea why he's there. There is no backstory why he's there. Oh, by the way, this does take place inside the Venom universe. So, because they already mentioned Venom twice in this movie. So, he shows up there, no idea why. The cop's just like, who are you? I'm Agent Toomes. Yeah, you're not supposed to be in here. And then just let him go. Okay, fine. All right, you want to go that way? Okay, I can understand that. Then we get to a part where Morbius is driving somewhere at the end, towards the desert, I guess. And then he ends up meeting Vulture, which would be cool if the Vulture was a different version of him. But he was Vulture from Homecoming. So he was the MCU's Vulture, or the Spider-Man MCU Vulture, which is okay, fine. Then they start saying, hey, let's team up. But here's my thing that got me thinking. He knew about Spider-Man. Now, if the spell actually worked, and here's a spoiler for the spell. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention no spoilers, so I apologize. So here's a spoiler for No Way Home. If Spider-Man told Doctor Strange, hey, make sure everybody forgets about me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, shouldn't he not forget? Shouldn't he not remember? Possibility. However, there's a little thing that nobody's talking about that's coming up pretty soon. And that's called Multiverse of Madness. That's right, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, here's a little pun, not to be intentional, but what if in that movie, whether it's Doctor Strange's fault Wanda's fault or the Illuminati's fault? What if something happens where they kind of reset everything to before Spider-Man made that thing and everybody remembers Spider-Man again? Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, what if they all remember? Including the new guys as well. They all know who Spider-Man is. Mary Jane. If Gwen was still alive, Gwen. What if MJ remembers? Ned. What if they all remember? Because remember, they all forgot about him. But honestly, do you really think they're going to forget about Spider-Man? And they're just going to set up a new thing? It's a wild theory. But I'm thinking something's going to happen in Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, where everybody's going to remember. That way, this after credit makes sense. Why he remembers who Spider-Man is, and he's going to tell Morbius about Spider-Man, and then they're going to instantly go into that world and fight Spider-Man. Sinister Six style, whatever you want to call it. Because remember, they already have Vulture. Morbius is already there. Venom always remembers because each multiverse version of themselves always knows. So they can all get their memories back if it's possible. Plus, there was a piece of Venom that got left back in the MCU. So there's that Venom as well. And they're making Kraven now. So maybe Kraven will know something eventually too. And of course, the Madam Web stuff. And plus, Madam Web will never forget because she's more powerful than any spell can work on her anyway. So what if she fixes the problem? Or what if she makes everybody remember who Spider-Man is from all across the multiverse? Possibility. I mean, it's a wild guess, but I mean, I feel like there's something more to this whole, oh yeah, I remember who Spider-Man is, but how do you remember if everybody got the memories wiped out, including everybody from the multiverse? There's something about that does not make sense to me, that I feel like Kevin Feige and the people who own Spider-Man are going to be like, no, you'll see why that doesn't really make sense to you in this post-credit scene. Like I said, could be a theory, could be way out there, but that's what I got. But we'll see what happens. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about Morbius, because like I said, I actually thought it was fine. It wasn't the greatest film I've ever seen in my life. I liked it. I had some problems with it, obviously, but I still enjoyed it. And you know what? If they make a sequel, I'll be down for it. So we'll see what happens. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Thank you very much, and have a good day.